If you haven't heard about Anchor yet, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free and there's no charge. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more music apps.
You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you'll ever need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started on your podcast today.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to EMPJ Podcast. Unfortunately, Jason is unable to be with us this week. It was kind of like a hectic week, kind of like a rushed week. We weren't able to do an episode last weekend due to a couple functions that we all had to
due to
attend.
Extraneous circumstances surrounding our availability.
So we couldn't do a podcast last weekend. So we're going to make up for that podcast by doing an episode tonight. Tonight is Friday night, actually. And then we're going to also do another episode in 2 days on Sunday like we usually do. So without further ado, we're going to kind of get into, obviously, in the NBA, a huge series, Game 6 tonight between my Sixers and the Hawks. We'll get into how they even got there. We'll get into that in a couple minutes. But, Jacob, I know you kind of want to touch on a UFC card that just recently happened.
So last episode was like sort of our preview and UFC episode for it. And the card happened a week ago, 6 days ago. And Israel Adesanya retained his middleweight belt against Martin Vettori. Not really a surprise to me. Izzy's one of the best fighters on the roster, in my opinion, and that doesn't shock me. One of the big shockers, though, was Brandon Moreno defeating Davison Figueiredo by submission, which out of all the results was not something I expected. And sources who actually paid for the fight and was able to watch it, also known as Jagger Gray, were telling me that it didn't look like Figueiredo was even trying out there. Moreno dominated him every single round and finished him, I believe, in the second or third round. And also, unfortunately, Nate Diaz was defeated by Leon Edwards by unanimous decision. However, in the fifth and final round, he almost knocked him out. And that speaks to why Nate Diaz is a true fan favorite. He's always going to give it his all. He is a true embodiment of what the UFC stands for. He's a true combat athlete. But Leon Edwards was just, he's a better fighter than Nate Diaz, unfortunately. So the first 5-round non-title fight goes to Leon Edwards. And that pretty much wraps up the big fights on that card.
All right, well, that kind of wraps up our UFC talk. But let's get into some boxing talk. Obviously, the huge fight between, who was it? Bryce Hall and
I don't know.
Austin something.
Bryce Hall lost, that's all I know.
Yeah, Bryce Hall lost. That's all we got to talk about. So, so now we're going to get into some real sports, some NBA.
Oh, UFC's not a real sport?
No, it is, but like some sports that I like to talk about. So,
there we go.
We're going to kind of get into, obviously we didn't have an episode last week, so we didn't get the chance to talk about the Nuggets being eliminated early by the Suns. It was a 4-game sweep. So
Suns
the Suns,
are like that.
Yeah, but huge news breaking. What was that? 2 days ago, that Chris Paul is now in the COVID protocol. Yeah. So that's going to be huge news, considering the Clippers play tonight against the Jazz with a chance to close that series. So say the Clippers, close that series tonight, you're looking at the Western Conference Finals between the Jazz and the Suns, between the Clippers and the Suns starting some point like early next week.
Without
Chris Paul. So a lot on the line tonight with that series, along with the Sixers playing a huge elimination game tonight against the Hawks. The Sixers, obviously, if you guys haven't heard, a huge collapse on Wednesday night at home, blew a 26-point lead.
Thanks, Ben.
And just like Jacob said, the inability to perform at the free throw line cost Ben Simmons and the team the chance to take Game 5. So
I saw a stat. I don't know if I'm mistaken, but Embiid and Curry were the only ones to score in the second half.
That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. I did not get the chance to watch the game. Unfortunately, I had some things of my own to take care of. But I went back and looked at the stats, went back and looked at the box score, and I was utterly embarrassed to find out that Embiid and Curry were the only two to score in the second half. That cannot happen. You're talking about guys like
Seth Curry drops 31, you should win the game.
Yeah, exactly. That just goes to show how well they're shooting. If he has 31 points, that means they're probably shooting pretty well from 3-point line.
I think he was like 7 of 11 from 3.
And I mean,
that game.
You think of who they have on the floor. Their starting 5 is unbelievable. In my opinion, it's the best starting 5 in the league, other than obviously the Nets. You're talking about Harris, Simmons, and Embiid. The big 3, obviously, in my opinion, should have been all 3 of them should have been all-stars. Simmons and Embiid obviously were, but Harris was not. That goes besides the point. Harris, you cannot have 4 points. He can't only. That is awful.
Him and Simmons combined for 12. That game.
Simmons. Okay, the huge story, obviously, is Simmons missing 10 free throws at the line. They lost by 3. They missed 15.
I think
15 free throws were missed throughout the whole game for the Sixers. 10 of them. 10 of the missed 15 free throws fall on Ben Simmons.
Another testament to how the Sixers were during that game is the fact that Ben Simmons had 8 points and shot 14 free throws. That is... Oh, man. Like, when Jason Tatum shoots 14 free throws, he scores like 40.
Yeah.
I mean...
It can't happen, and it's hard to game plan around it. It's hard for the coaching staff and Doc Rivers to game plan around it. Jacob, we just spoke a couple minutes ago before we started this episode, and I told you it comes down to heart. It comes down to the Hawks' 25-point swing in the second half. They outscored the Sixers by 25, came down from a deficit of 26 on the road. The game was in Philly. That just goes to show how much more heart and intensity the Hawks were playing with in comparison to the Sixers. But the Sixers, I think
there's some scheme issues too, as well.
I'm not sure who to blame here because you can blame Doc Rivers for leaving Simmons.
I think I'll give 20% of the blame to Rivers.
But
and then the rest of it, I'll give 40 to Harris and 40 to Simmons.
Harris can't have 4 points. But Ben, you have to be free throws. They are free throws. You are a point guard. Every other NBA point guard, it's automatic. It's automatic from the line. When they go to the line, every other NBA point guard, automatic.
And I would excuse Simmons if he scored more than 8 points for missing free throws.
And you can't take Simmons out because he is the only man on the roster that can guard Trae Young. He's the only man on the roster that's fast enough and quick enough and lengthy enough to guard Trae Young.
In my opinion, from a coaching standpoint, I think you cut Thybulle's minutes almost completely to nothing because Ben Simmons should be guarding Trae Young. And there's no point in having Thybulle out there if there's no really other star on that team.
The thing that is – here's what I think
give those minutes to
I was just going to say that. Here's what I think they should do. So, obviously, with the injury to Danny Green, which I don't know if we've spoken about yet, Danny Green, calf strain, out for 2 to 3 weeks, reevaluated if they even get past the Hawks in this series. So replacing Danny Green is a struggle. I mean, I didn't really think it was going to be that tough to replace him.
I saw something about Danny Green. I believe he made the most corner threes in the league this year.
Yeah,
which was actually a bit surprising.
He's a good defender. He's a good defender. He's not the best defender. He's not quick enough to guard Trae Young.
He's good enough to guard Herter, though.
Yeah,
Kevin Herter.
Yeah,
there we go.
He's a good enough defender. He's a vet. I think he's made all defensive team at least a couple times in his career.
Not that level anymore, but still a good defender.
Still a good defender. Replacing him is going to be tough. But Korkmaz is not the answer. Furkan Korkmaz should not be the answer. And just like Jacob said, in my opinion, they should put Maxey in to run point guard because You can't have Simmons with the ball anymore. You can't have Simmons bring up the ball.
Simmons should be out there for defense. I mean, really.
He should be playing on a wing spot because even if he plays point guard, he has to get rid of the ball as soon as they cross half court because they're going to foul him. Yeah. So they
hack a point guard.
In my opinion, you bump Simmons down to play a 4. Then you got Harris at 3, Maxey at 1, Embiid at 5, and Curry at 2.
Yeah, there we
go. That is a good lineup. That's a solid lineup. Curry,
Maxey, Simmons, Harris, Embiid, and get Harris's ass out of there if he doesn't want to score more than 4 points. That's how it should go.
That's embarrassing. And like Embiid, this is kind of my message. He had 39 points. Right?
Everyone was trying to blame Embiid for the free throws at the end. Like, come on, it's not.
But he did not play a very good fourth quarter.
No.
If you look at his stats in the fourth quarter when they needed him most, when the Hawks were making their big run and the Sixers were going unanswered, you need to get the ball to Embiid to get a bucket. And he didn't even want to take the shot. He looked scared. He didn't want to take the shot. They were running the shot clock down the whole way, which is okay. I mean, you're winning big. You should be doing that. But Embiid, you got to be willing to grow a pair of balls and shoot the ball. For
the first time in recorded human history, I'm going to come to Joel Embiid's defense, and I'm going to say, he's coming. He has a lingering knee injury, and that's not a complete excuse. But if you're still scoring 30 points plus, he does a lot of other things besides scoring. I don't really think you can put it at all on Embiid.
You're right.
He didn't have an Embiid-like fourth quarter, but I feel like that's unrealistic to hold him to when he's scoring 30-plus points.
Yeah, you're right. And, just like we just spoke about, Embiid has practically put the Sixers on his back this whole series. And it showed a lot the other night, Wednesday night, and they still ended up coming out with a loss. But I don't know. I don't know what happens from here on out. I genuinely don't feel comfortable with any sort of lead now. After blowing an 18-point lead and then a 26-point lead.
I just think the personalities on your team, I think the game needs to be close for them to stay more engaged, if that makes sense. I don't know. Like you said with Embiid in the fourth quarter, I think sort of like a focus and complacency. And I think the same thing goes for Simmons. I really think a close game, you guys are fighting tooth and nail, but once it gets when you guys think you have it in the bag, then you start to see your lead slip and you can't get that fighting mentality.
And here's my thing. Here's my biggest thing about it. So in game 1, the Hawks came into Philly and came out guns blazing, went up 26, had a 26-point lead. And the Sixers came out in the second half and showed heart, showed intensity, and they were able to fight and claw all the way back and get the game within 2 at one point in game 1. They did drop that game, but what makes you think that when you have a 26-point lead, what do you think is going to happen? That other team is going to make changes. They're going to make adjustments at halftime. They're going to come out with more intensity, and that same thing can happen to you. And that's what happened the other night. And that's, you see how it goes for you. What makes you think the Hawks can't do it right back to you? And unfortunately, it bit them the other night. I don't know what to expect. Just like I said, Game 6 coming up here in about an hour, 7:30 Eastern Time tonight. And then if they're able to win in Atlanta tonight and tie the series 3-3, Game 7 will be in Philly on Sunday.
We've been talking about the Sixers a lot, but also a lot of credit to the Hawks for coming back from a 26-point lead. And Trae Young's borderline unstoppable. Yeah. He is an offensive machine.
From the free throw line.
Yeah, that too. He does draw a lot of fouls.
It's controversially. It's all he does. He is James Harden to a T.
Don't disrespect Harden like that.
Harden will hit your average 3, but half of his
Harden's
points
the best shot creator in the league.
Half of his points per game come from the free throw line.
And also credit to coach for the Hawks, Nate McMillan, for rallying his team for the victory and making the needed changes in order to come back from should be insurmountable.
I still don't know what exact changes they made. I'm pretty sure at one point in the game they were kind of waving the white flag, and the Sixers just gave up. Sixers just let them come right back into that game. Lou Will off the bench had
Yeah.
a huge game.
Lemon pepper Lou, baby.
Yep, and that was the name of the game. Bench play was huge. Sixers bench, god-awful.
Yeah, that's what the Hawks
They
are
were
about, too. I mean, they are a deep roster.
Horrifically cold were the Sixers bench, and that's been a problem all year, especially in the playoffs. It was a problem in the Wizards series as well. The bench underperformed.
And luckily it was the Wizards, so you still win the series. But
here's a message, for Dwight Howard. Like, Embiid is going to he's literally playing on one knee, on one leg. He's dropping 39 points. He's playing 40 minutes per game. He's going to need a break at some point in the game. Dwight Howard comes out, plays 15, 20 minutes, and gets 0 points. A donut. Gets 0 points. That can't happen. That cannot happen. An MVP caliber player in Embiid should be able to have somebody that they can trust on the bench when he needs a break. And Dwight Howard, you came out and had 0 points. That's awful. Awful. But we'll see what they do tonight. We'll see what adjustments they make. We'll see what the coaching staff has planned. I like Doc Rivers. I love Ben Simmons, but I don't think either of them will be back next year if they drop tonight's game. So, yeah, that's a bold take on my half, but, come on now. Like, Simmons and Embiid have played 4 years together now. They can't get past the second round, and Simmons has just been bad. He has been bad in the playoffs. And we just spoke about how
should have taken that Harden deal, although you can say that about a lot of teams.
We'll just see. We just spoke about how many points Trae Young has had per game. He gets half of them from the free throw line. He is their point guard. Just imagine how many points Simmons could end up per game. What would his points per game what would his points per game be if he were able to hit?
If he was able to hit 75% of his free throws, he would average
over 22, 23 a game.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And I wouldn't be sitting here right now saying that they should trade him next year. A blockbuster trade.
Yeah, I was about to.
Kemba Walker was just traded to the Dallas Mavericks, right?
Nah, Oklahoma City.
That's right. Oklahoma City Thunder for Al Horford. So Al Horford's going back to Boston. Obviously, I kind of know Al Horford pretty well. He's a bum. But
it's a salary cap.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Kemba Walker has, quite literally lost a couple steps since he was in Charlotte. He's had to battle a couple injuries in Boston. But he's had his fair share of struggles. I can understand the deal on both sides. I think personally the Thunder win that deal. You get Kemba Walker, who has the ability to get healthier and get back to his normal self. And Al Horford's just the exact opposite. He's aging. He is just not who he used to be.
It's really just the Celtics freeing up cap room.
Yeah.
Essentially. 2 years from now, Al Horford will be off the contract. And
what is Oklahoma City going to do now? They have Gilgeous-Alexander and Kemba. I don't see Kemba staying in.
They're just not going to play him. They don't care. They're not trying to win.
I think they're going to trade. I think it's
3 first-round picks this year.
Yeah,
they're
not rebuilding, and that's why they got rid of.
I think 27 first-round picks in the next 8 years. It's crazy.
Other NBA news. The huge Game 7 tomorrow night on Saturday, Bucks versus Nets. Bucks had a huge game last night. Giannis and Middleton came up clutch. Giannis had 30 points. Middleton had 38. Both backs against the wall. That's what big time players are supposed to do, and that is the definition of what I hope happens tonight. I hope Embiid, I hope Simmons, and Harris all show up tonight, and there shouldn't be a problem tonight winning this game. I'm nervous personally because of the amount of heart that the Hawks showed and the lack of heart that we showed the other night. If we don't get up for this game, and they're going to get up. They're going to get
young, hungry roster.
Yeah, they're hungry. They're at home. A chance to close out the series, beat the 1 seed. They are going to be there's going to be intensity coming from the Hawks. Can the Sixers match that? That's yet to be shown. And that's personally what makes me a little uneasy about what's going to happen tonight. But yeah,
that Bucks Nets game should be a great game.
that is going to be a great game.
If you ask me who I think is going to win, I genuinely don't know. I guess I would lean towards the Nets, but
I'm going to go on a limb here and say Kyrie plays tomorrow night.
You think so?
Oh yeah, Game 7 at home. It's win or go home.
Harden will be healthy for it too.
It's win or go home. Yeah, and last night they were able to kind of lock up Harden a little bit. Harden played 40 minutes, had 16 points.
Yeah,
that's a really good defensive job by the Bucks. And Giannis was actually on him for a majority of the night. I watched that game. Giannis did a fantastic job of guarding him.
We need another game. What is it? Game 5, Kevin Durant game.
I'm looking forward to that game. The Bucks have had a lead in every single game of that series. Pretty big lead. Fairly big lead. They had an 18-point lead in Brooklyn, Game 5, and they blew it. Brooklyn came back and won that game. They went up 3-2. Then last night, the Bucks with a huge win. They won by like 15 or something last night. And that was in Milwaukee. So we're going back to Brooklyn for Game 7. And it should be a great series. It should be a great game. I'm looking for Middleton to be that kind of guy under the radar.
For the first time, he stepped up big time in the playoffs.
And he's every time that the Nets got that game to within like 5, Middleton would answer right back with a huge 3 or a huge bucket.
One of the best mid-range shooters in the game too.
He would answer with a huge bucket last night, and that's why I think he's going to be the deciding factor tomorrow night. If he has a great game, I say the Bucks win.
Jeff Green, the X factor.
If it's all going to be on Giannis's back, the Bucks are going to struggle because Giannis is not that great of a shooter, and the Nets will take advantage of all of that. So, yeah. Trinity news. Unfortunately, our season came to an end. We didn't have an episode last week. So So our baseball season unfortunately came to an end in the quarterfinals of states. We were able to get past Newman Goretti with a 5-4 win. A huge pitching performance from Landon Kunzelman in that game. And then we advanced to play Lake Lehman last Thursday. And they beat us 2-0. Very, very good team. Very well coached. Very talented pitching. They got the best of us, and they advanced to semifinals, and our season was ended. So it was a great run, great season. We made a lot of history. We were the first baseball team from Trinity to ever make states, and we were the first team to ever qualify for the district championship. So
congrats on a great career, Peyton.
Appreciate it, bro. Yeah, I'm done.
With Trinity Sport. Yeah, Trinity in general. That's crazy, bro.
Yep.
Remember when you were a sophomore? I was a freshman in that football weight room. Oh my gosh. Time flies.
We get after it in there. But yeah, I'm hoping, Jacob, that Coach Hill and your coaching staff at Trinity for the football team lets me come back and help out a little bit.
Hopefully, yeah.
I know you guys had a big 7-on-7 the other night.
Turned into a little 11v11 too. It was good. Kind of killed them. Was getting a bit chippy in the 11-on-11 with the handheld bags, as it typically
I'll never
goes.
forget that drill. Those drills right there.
Yeah.
That inside.
It was fun.
Good. That's good. And best of luck to Jacob.
Scored a
and
touchdown
Jason.
on every down I played, which was one
You
down
did?
on offense.
What'd you do? What was your touchdown?
A little wheel route,
Hey, out of the backfield?
Yeah. Don't really play much offense, but that's all right.
Who threw it? Landon or?
This McDevitt transfer, Caleb. He can throw the ball.
All right. Well, yeah. So great. Best of luck to you and especially Jason, who's not with us.
Yeah.
You two guys have a year left. Jacob, you're wrestling and playing football.
Disney.
Disney.
Going down Tuesday at 10 p.m. 21-hour drive.
Why are you not flying?
It's cheaper to drive.
No, it's not.
Bro, I don't know.
The amount of gas you're going to spend?
I don't know, bro. We're just driving. That's all I know.
Who's we? You and Jagger? And...
Nah, Spencer Egolf taking us down.
All right.
It should be a fun trip.
Yeah, but I haven't I don't know if you watch NHL, Jacob, but there's been a huge.
Well,
huge
all I know
series.
is how's Vegas doing? That's my team.
I'm gonna look it up.
I haven't.
Vegas plays tonight. Game 3. Their series is tied. This is the NHL's version of the conference.
Yeah.
Finals.
What are their conferences? How do
I
they
don't
do
even
it?
know, bro. It's like split up into.
Yeah, like is the Metropolitan Division still a thing? I remember that from
Yeah,
NHL
they're split up
15.
into divisions.
It's 3 divisions each conference, I think.
1, 2, 3, 4. No, there's 4 divisions.
Yeah,
Two-
they did change it because
2 for
Vegas
each
came.
conference.
Yeah.
So in one of the conference finals or Stanley Cup semifinals, I guess, the Golden Knights are taking on the Canadiens. That series is tied 1-1. Game 3 coming up here tonight. And then in the other series, the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the New York Islanders.
Islanders are good.
That series, Tampa Bay leads that series 2-1. Game 4 is coming up tomorrow night in New York. So, yeah, that should be a great series. I don't watch a whole lot of hockey, but I am excited. I do.
Let's go Vegas.
I tend to watch the Stanley Cup Finals. I kind of like enjoy.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching that.
I don't know. I find it hard to watch hockey, but it definitely is a really interesting sport. But it's hard to watch on the TV, in my opinion.
Yeah, nothing really going on for football, NFL.
I'm trying to think.
I know the schedules were released.
Yeah.
And we'll have to kind of make like our predictions.
Yeah, that would be a big thing.
Yeah.
MVP predictions, all that shenanigans. Although that might hinge on what a certain man in Green Bay is going to do with his career.
Yeah,
But-
and obviously we want to keep stressing the fact that we still have some T-shirts available for purchase. I'm not exactly sure what our inventory holds currently.
Yeah.
Jason would know, but he's not with us right now, so we'll have to ask him and get that to you, get that information to you guys as soon as possible.
But
So
if you're interested in one, DM us.
please,
talk to us.
please, communicate with us, and we'll do our best to try and get you guys the T-shirts. And as soon as this order of T-shirts sell out, obviously we will be getting another one probably, I'm assuming. But it's going to depend on, like what you guys want design-wise, and especially
Even
like,
if it's not necessarily shirts, whatever.
if it's hats or whatever, if you guys want different things, you guys will have to suggest that and let us know, and we'll do our best to kind of get that to you
And
guys.
sort of like the enthusiasm towards the shirts also will determine how many other lines we'll do of stuff like hats and that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited for you guys to kind of sell those shirts out, because I want to see what's next. I want to see if we can get some hats going, and I want to see if we can get some sweat hoodies or whatever.
Yeah.
Socks. I don't care, bro.
Socks.
I'm willing to do whatever.
Slippers.
Whatever. Yeah. If you guys want to wear them, if you guys want
Nose
stuff,
rings.
we're willing to make. Yeah. So, anyways, that kind of wraps up our episode for now, because we have another episode coming in 2 days. So we don't really want to give away too much information and spoil too much, because we want to have stuff to talk about on Sunday as well. So
Let's go Hawks.
oh, boo. Let's go Sixers, baby. All right, thanks, guys, and we'll see you on